Wole Soyinka has suddenly found his voice, and for the record, Wole Soyinka campaigned against Jonathan and by default campaigned for Buhari in 2015. Not that there's anything wrong with it, it's his choice. Anyone can campaign for anybody, but the language he used during the campaign, no one called him a fascist. Let's not even talk about the language he used on Goodluck Jonathan, but the one he used on his wife, who wasn't on a ballot. Her only crime being that she is the wife of the president. Soyinka called her a hippopotamus. We all know what a hippopotamus is, but Wole Soyinka added a she instead of a he in front. That means he body shamed her because of her weight. This is the kind of thing a misogynist will do. Wole Soyinka found his voice after no one heard from him during and immediately after the elections. He said that people sent him videos of what was happening during the election, but he didn't bother to lend his voice to condemn what happened. Did he see videos of thugs and policemen snatching ballot boxes?
See them, look at them going. Look at them going. They have smuggled the ballot box out. Look at them. Look at them. Look at what is going on here. They have smuggled the ballot box out with the military.
Did he also see the chief thug of Lagos threatening Igbos and non-Yorubas not to come out and exercise their constitutionally backed right to vote on election day?
I repeat time again. Any Igbo where they born very well, where they born here, me are here, where they born here, make it comfortable. This is yes. This is Igbo's intersection. Yes. Igbo has this. Now, to vote for the PDP. Life. If you know you don't want to vote for PDP, stay where.
He did it during the presidential election. He repeated it before the governorship. Maybe he saw most of the atrocities that happened during the election, or maybe he didn't. But is Prof aware that many people lost their lives? Is Prof aware that many people were hurt during the election?
There's a young man that died big forest. His name is Bolaji. He's a Yoruba boy. And they are saying that he's not Igbo.
Is Soyinka aware that P2B's supporters were injured just because they speak a language that is not Yoruba? And when people are hurt, they are angry. When people lose their loved ones, they are angry. When people lack the most basic things of life that people in other countries take for granted, it can be frustrating and can make anyone angry. While Soyinka protested against the PDP administration led by Goodluck Jonathan in 2014, which can be likened to what Obidients are doing today, the APC guys were threatening to form a parallel government if the election doesn't go their way.
Well, that is a position.
Do you see it as inciting?
I don't think so. I don't think it's inciting. Why is that inciting? There's nothing that incites about that. I don't think that would necessarily lead anyone to violence or lead anyone to do anything.
Forming a parallel government, that's not calling for anarchy.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
But it could be.
No, not necessarily. Look at cases.
Notice the Naira exchange rate of 181 Naira to the dollar in 2014 when Osibanjo was justifying their decision to form a parallel government. Compare that to the exchange rate today, which is more than 750 Naira. The Buhari and APC administration have done so much harm to the Nigerian economy than any other administration or even others combined. Anyway, Soyinka doesn't see anything wrong with that, but he finds fault in what Dati Baba Ahmed said, that it will signal an end of democracy in Nigeria if someone who didn't meet the constitutional requirements is sworn in as the president of Nigeria. Now, let's see the meaning of fascism. It says, a political system based on a very powerful leader. Who is the very powerful leader here, or leaders? Tinubu and Buhari. It also says state control. We all know who is in control of the state. APC, Buhari, Tinubu, Sanwo-Olu, and Nyesom Wike. Then there's race, which in our case, as it applies to Nigeria, it means tribe, because we are all from the same race. Now, the last one, it says, political opposition is not allowed. In this election season, the only person and party that used tribe during and after the election was Bola Tinubu. In the beginning, before the primaries, he said Emi Lokan, which means it's my turn, and Yoruba Lokan, which means it's Yoruba's turn.
Ẹgbẹ́ kìíní wá, Emi Lokan,
Also, before and during the election, his associates and thugs kept threatening Igbos and non-Yorubas not to come out to vote, otherwise they will be dealt with.
Please, if you don't want to vote for us, please sit down for
And they kept their promises. Many were injured, many lost their lives. Many APC thugs told non-Yorubas to go back to their states of origin and vote there, that this is Yoruba land, that they can't vote here.
You don't have right to vote in our own
state. What Tinubu and APC did during the election was beyond fascism. It was like a Yoruba supremacy over other tribes in Nigeria. If you are not Yoruba, you do not have the right to vote. The APC in Lagos were campaigning around telling people that the governorship candidate of the Labour Party in Lagos isn't a Yoruba man, that he is Igbo and therefore should not be voted for. Compare that to what Peter Obi said during the election. He kept telling people not to vote for him because of where he comes from, because of his tribe, but to vote for him because he has the competence, he can do the job, he can deliver.
Do not say because Peter Obi is from the east, I will vote for him. Do not vote for me because I'm an Igbo man. Do not vote for anybody because they're from the west. Do not vote for anybody because they're from the north. This is time to vote a human being who have conscience and trust.
The Nigerian constitution does not prevent anyone from being voted for as a governor irrespective of his state of origin. Most of the former APC governors in Lagos aren't even from Lagos. Their parents or themselves all migrated to Lagos State. How can Soyinka see all this and still remain silent? Everyone knows the history of the Labour Party candidate, Gbadebo Survivor. The history of his family is well known in Lagos State. Peter Obi's history is well known. That of his father and mother are equally known. His primary, secondary schools and university schoolmates are known. Same with Yusuf Dati Baba Ahmed. Unlike Tinubu, whose history is shrouded in mystery, many things about his past life are unknown. It's like he didn't exist before 1970. No one can say exactly where he was born, who his parents are, and his real identity. The only sure thing about his past is that he was convicted and forfeited $460,000 to the United States Treasury, being funds linked to narcotics trafficking. The world saw what Wole Soyinka did during the US presidential election. He threatened to tear his green card if Donald Trump wins the election. Whatever reason he had for doing that, the question here is, why does Wole Soyinka measure the United States with a particular political standard and refuses to measure Nigeria with the same standard? Or was it because he didn't like Donald Trump? So in the case of Nigeria, he likes Tinubu. He wouldn't measure Nigeria with the same standard he measured the United States, not minding the fact that before Trump contested the presidential election, he didn't have a criminal conviction, unlike Tinubu. Trump didn't capture the treasury of Florida or New York State like Tinubu did in Lagos, where he earned a whopping 36 billion naira in 2 years.
In the last 2 years, 36 billion naira has been paid out to Tinubu via Alpha Beta Consulting alone. 36 billion naira is a colossal amount of money to pay an individual firm over a 2-year period.
Yes, compare the GDP per capita of the United States to that of Nigeria to see that there's no justification for one man to earn 36 billion naira from the taxes of Lagos State, a state where millions live in slums, and Wole Soyinka doesn't deem it fit to tear his passport because of Tinubu, like he destroyed his US green card. What Bola Tinubu and APC did during the presidential and governorship election was beyond fascism. So either Prof no longer knows the meaning of fascism, or he can't just bring himself to criticize his friend Bola Tinubu because they go way back.
What more essential thing do you require if you're moving into an unfurnished building? You need to cook. His wife, Remi, sitting there, had thought about these details and sent pot and pans and fridge or whatever to the house to enable myself and my family to survive until my house was repaired in Ogun State.
Professor Soyinka eulogizing Tinubu. Prof should have remained silent like he did throughout the election, or even if he must grant an interview, he shouldn't have thrown accusations that kind of plays on our collective intelligence. Or is he part of the international propaganda to demarket P2B? They want to make it look like P2B is a populist candidate. No, he's not. Nigerians are just tired of the government that doesn't work for them. From PDP and APC the past 24 years, they couldn't fix ordinary power supply in Nigeria. That was why it was easy for people to understand P2B's message. Words are powerful. When APC guys use words like treason, mob, and Soyinka have added his own, fascists. It tells you one thing: this is a coordinated propaganda targeted at the international community to demarket P2B and his followers. The Western world knows better. They saw it firsthand through their people who observed the elections. They've submitted their reports. Tinubu and APC are just looking for legitimacy. That's why they sent the Minister of Information to interact with the international press in Washington, D.C. Some are already singing their praise, like Johnny Carson, the executive officer at the United States Institute of Peace. They should know one thing: whatever you guys cannot tolerate or support in the United States, don't ever bother telling Nigerians to accept it. There's no peace without justice. The peace of the graveyard in Nigeria today is because many are waiting for the tribunal to do the right thing and declare the rightful winner. If not, the peace you think is a priority than talking about justice for the people whose mandate was stolen, you're only shifting the day of reckoning to another day. It won't go away. Besides, no one with a criminal conviction who forfeited $460,000 linked to narcotics trafficking can ever become the president of the United States. If you guys can't accept it, don't expect Nigerians to accept it. By the way, he didn't even win. Soyinka can refer to him as president-elect, but he will remain president-select to many Nigerians who are aware of the heist Tinubu and APC in collaboration with INEC committed on Nigerians. With all due respect, no one is beyond reproach. If you call innocent people fascists just because they refused a rigged election, be prepared for their counter-argument. Words are powerful, and many people won't tolerate or accept such a label. They will defend themselves, and the way they defend themselves is beyond anyone's control. If it is beyond your control, why not resist the temptation of delivering the first salvo? Tinubu and APC are fighting P2B on all fronts, people who claim to have won an election. Look at what is going on in Labour Party headquarters. They are trying to take over Labour Party with the help of the courts. If they succeed, they will go on to frustrate P2B's petition or even expel him from the party.
Labour Party is under serious attack, personally and individually, because of the case we have against the APC in courts. All of this blackmail, all of this attack is tailored towards destroying the mandate that has been freely given to us by Nigerians. If
you are a Nigerian in the diaspora living in a Western country, you can counter what they are doing by contacting people in government, like Nigerian Americans are already doing in the United States. This is the only country we have. Don't let them win. Many patriots are already lending their voice, condemning what Tinubu and APC are doing. Many have also criticized Wole Soyinka for his double standards. During the past elections, there was no single violence attributed to the Labour Party or Obidients. So how can someone boldly use the term fascist on them? Majority of the violence recorded during the election was done by APC. And curiously, all the APC leaders, including Buhari, haven't condemned the violence unleashed by thugs on innocent Nigerians. Thank you for watching.
If you don't vote APC for a year, go your house. Nobody force you come here. Go out, so if I see you vote another, I will call look at. If I see you vote another part, go ahead and You no come joke for here o. This territory where you dey na APC o. Go your house. Go relax.